Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day, night, afternoon, wherever the hell you are in the world. Hope it's awesome. We have about a foot of snow coming down in my area right now, so it's a nice cold night. Figure, why not talk with a friend, discuss a great movie, and for all the trolls who I know will eventually get into this chat, I just have one message for you.
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up, you cunt! Shut it!
Yep, because honestly, they love to come in at the worst times and just make a damn fool of themselves. But anyway, let's say hi to the chat. We got Vanja so far in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. He's a friend of mine on Facebook. He drops in on them. He probably might join me for my mystery review next weekend. So, yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
But, so my guest tonight is Cult Classic Cage, also known as Cassie. How you doing?
I'm good, just chilling. I basically spent, I think, the past 30 minutes brushing my cat Ziggy, and I think that he wants payback for that, because normally I do it when he's sleepy, and he doesn't want to be bothered when he's sleepy, so it's kind of payback time, I think.
Yeah. And give the audience give yourself a plug, basically. Let the audience know what you do and whatnot.
So I mean, I mostly now do YouTube. Might consider going back to Twitch, but I love to talk about films and video games, and it's like I'm actually happy to be here because one of my true desires is to talk about like old school film, but it's like kind of hard for me to kind of push that into my channel. So it's like if I could talk with people on their channels about it, it's like I get that energy out that's like kind of just stuck in me that I don't have anywhere. I don't have an asset on my channel, at least for right now, to talk about it. So I get that energy out, and obviously I get to spend time here with you, which is awesome. But yeah, if you're into video games, you're just into hanging out and talking about films in general, you can hit me up at Cult Classic Cage on YouTube. And yeah, I talk to anyone on Twitter as long as it's cordial. And so you like to hang out and talk about the things that I'm into, and if you want to introduce some interesting things to me that I've never indulged in, you're always free to.
Yeah. I also do have all the links to her Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter down in the description below, folks. So
thank you.
I also just had a freaking ladybug on the back of my neck. That is more. Oh my god, they come in during the winter, but my brother told me it's like, yeah, those are Japanese stink bugs or whatever. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what they are. They're annoying.
Oh my gosh, since I moved to Pennsylvania, I discovered what a stink bug is. I've never seen one, being in Queens, New York, and I was absolutely petrified. And then I realized they don't move, and they're just big, dumb, ugly idiots. And yeah, I kind of just pick them up and throw them out the house, sort of deal.
Yeah.
It's too easy to just kill a stink bug. But one time I was in bed, we're getting ready to go to sleep. Out of the corner, I'm laying on my pillow. In the corner of my eye, I see a stink bug right beside my face, and I literally freaked out, rolled off the bed, and fell on the floor. It was not the best thing to be dealing with when you're sleepy, but yeah, it happens.
So Cassie has chosen the 1955 classic East of Eden. What made you choose this movie?
Well, honestly, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty big fan of James Dean. For many reasons, honestly. I like how, to me, he expresses emotions in ways that, personally, I don't really feel from many other actors at all, even if it may be a little over the top. But he gets something out of me when I'm watching his films, and unfortunately, there's only 3 films that he's actually has big roles in, and so to me, I think East of Eden is his best, or at least my preferred. The other 2 obviously great films, but East of Eden is personally my favorite. And a lot of people don't really talk about that when they discuss James Dean. It's more so Rebel or Giant, and their Giant is arguably a masterpiece in its own right. It's a grand film, and Rebel is so important and really it really hits with the younger generation. But honestly, East of Eden is my favorite of the three. So always good
No,
to talk about that one.
yeah. Now, Elia Kazan directs this movie. It's a novel to film adaptation, and it stars James Dean, Julie Harris, who my mom said her best role was Knots Landing. Haven't seen that yet, but
I haven't seen that one either. I knew her from The Haunting. That's a fun
oh
little
yeah,
horror
yeah,
flick from back in the day.
definitely. Raymond Massey, Burl Ives, and many others of the golden age of film. This is one I haven't seen, so again, thank you, Cass, for recommending this one. Hollywood legend, or the brief synopsis that I got off of Vudu because that's where I watched it. Hollywood legend James Dean stars in this adaptation of John Steinbeck's classic novel, East of Eden. Teenage Cal Trask, Dean, longs for affection that his father reserves for his brother Aaron, but his efforts meet only rejection. Also attracted to Aaron's girlfriend, Cal becomes so frustrated in his search for love and acceptance that he reveals a long-held secret about their mother to Aaron, knowledge that now tears the family apart. And it's like, so this is basically the ultimate culmination of what's known as Jesse's Girl from Music World.
um, Honestly, it's truly inspired
Oh yeah.
by biblical times, really. Cain and Abel.
Yes, that is another. That is one thing that I absolutely caught. It's like they even matched the damn first letters of the names with Cain and Abel. I mean, Caleb or because Cal is short for Caleb.
Caleb, yep.
And Aaron is, well, Abel. And there's no murder of this in this, folks, no. But it does show that there is a disconnect, so to speak. Now, one of the things that I have not seen a lot of classic movies. My favorite movie of the earlier decades is always going to be Arsenic and Old Lace. But this movie starts out with like a 3-minute full-on overture that literally says overture on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's a nice coastal town, great cinematography. That's the one thing I actually really loved about this film.
It's so abstract. Kazan was really like, it's so strange that it's alluring. Like some of the scenes are like literally shot like this, and then there's scenes where like it's so like the people are so far away, and that's what Kazan wants you to concentrate on, and just all this other room is just space. And there's some really great scenes, like when the train is leaving after they pack it full of lettuce. You just see Adam, which is Cal and Aaron's father, just watching it. And then there's like another scene where Julie Harris is walking through this beautiful field of flowers. Like, it's just so thoughtful, and there's a lot there, and it's really abstract and fun and colorful. Very colorful film.
Very indeed. I mean, when these movies get their high definition transition, folks, you actually, when they transition older movies like East of Eden, and when they're about to fade to another scene, because that's how, or that screen transition in this one, or their preferred method in this one, you can actually see just before they go to a different scene how the color ramps up and just shifts automatically, and then it fades, which is actually a pretty interesting little process. It just goes to show you what kind, or that it was very different back then, how they did the whole screen fades and into different scenes.
Yeah,
so
honestly, I'm like super excited for when this film does come to 4K, because it's like all that extra detail on the film that was present as the director would want us to see it. We're finally going to be able to see all that extra detail for a film like that. And then with HDR, if they get it all right, it's a movie I'm going to watch Way more
Yeah.
times than I already have.
Yeah. I was able to catch it twice while I rented it because I get a 48-hour rental on Vudu. Shout out to Vudu. I mean, might as well plug your ass because I keep using you guys all the time.
Okay.
It's a great
It's
it's a
good
great
asset.
digital library. It has almost every single freaking studio that allows them to use it. So
Rob's
the
right in the comments, by the way. Some of the best looking 4K Blu-rays are old movies. It's really because of the actual source material itself. It's actual film, and
Mhm.
a lot of these older films are now literally deteriorating. So the
Yes.
sooner we can get these 8K scans of them for preservation purposes, the better. So please, Hollywood, if you do any fucking thing right, please do that right.
Right. So there's two towns that this movie is basically based or takes place in: Monterey and Salinas.
Yep.
And this movie takes place in 1917. So obviously, a movie made in 1955 taking place in 1917, you're gonna have to go with a little bit of liberty with some of the modern things because they obviously did not have the budget or the um, resources to age their production, shall we say? Because I don't believe power lines were all over the U.S. until the night, or at least into the early 20s.
Okay. See,
But
I didn't
yeah,
even think of that, to be honest with you. It's a good thing
I
to
could be
note.
wrong too, but
Well, like
there's
I think the most noteworthy thing about this time period, with in regards to this film, this is like pre refrigeration, like
yeah.
before that. That's pretty much the most important thing I'd say about this particular time period in regards to this film.
Well, it's also a main plot in this film because the father's business requires preservation of crops being transported on trains. So he's in the ice business, so to speak, as well.
Like his aspirations, Adam's aspirations, is to do something grand with his, I guess, his remaining time in this world, and he believes that cold can store food, and he's onto something. Got it?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you pull a Danielson?
Oh, believe me, I could if I need to. Sometimes it was a mosquito, for crying out loud. How the hell are those things still alive right now? Sorry about
And
that.
no, you're fine. But Adam's aspirations is to try and do something grand, to try and preserve food. It's something that he wants to achieve through icing, and basically he's willing to put all of his savings on the line in order to try and achieve this. And for him, unfortunately, it doesn't go so well.
No, it doesn't. But there's or his son Cal in this one. He actually has great ideas. It's just that he goes about them in some, well, not so, or some rather lucrative ways.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to when we discuss, because we're gonna basically kind of go in order, not scene by scene, but mostly. The beginning of this movie has Cal just following a woman who just made a rather large deposit at a bank. Now, folks, back in the early 1900s, if women did have any sort of independent business that they owned, it was either one of like maybe a handful of things, two of them most likely being bar or brothel. And the one in this case is rather more a bar. So this woman, Kathy, who everybody thinks is just some rich broad that hates everything, kind of does. She's walking through town, and James is like following her through town. This is Monterey, which is like 15 miles away from Salinas, the other town. And she gets to her house. She goes into the house. Her server or her
Her
one of her
bodyguard, essentially.
Yeah, a bodyguard comes out and he's like, I just want to talk with her. I just want to talk with her. And it's like, he's like, I just want to talk. I fucking hate her. It's like, he just wants to talk with her. And then he's like, well, I hate her. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's so like,
do you even
like,
know this woman?
James Dean is so spontaneous and he fucking mumbles. I think that's what
Yes.
a lot of directors and such absolutely hated about him. He mumbles and mutters, and he has so much disdain and angst in basically most of this movie, but it's really showed there. It's like he's clearly following this woman. He knows something about her, and um, Kathy, who's played by Jo Van Fleet, she's like she's this mysterious lady. The way she's dressed, clearly she has money, and she kind of does off the bat just from the first time you see her on screen. She has like this dark sort of demeanor about her, like no nonsense, and I think that her acting really is really amazing in this film, and I don't know if you've ever watched Gunfight at the OK Corral, but I really love her in that. She goes
Once
on later.
a while ago.
Yeah, she goes on to be in that, and I think that she is a very. This is an ideal role for a woman back during those times. Like you get to really showcase your acting chops, and
Yeah,
it kind of is rare, and people would like female actresses at the time would strive to find these types of roles.
And this was basically this was, in this case, this woman is literally I hate saying this, a strong, independent female.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Back when it actually meant something.
Yeah.
And so then we see James Dean hitch up on the train going back to Salinas. He gets up on the roof of the train, and I love how he actually rolls his arms into his shirt, because going that fast is going to get cold.
Oh, yeah.
And it just shows how these are things that a lot of people don't do, because when you show most people on a freaking train, they're just lounging on the train. It's like, you would be cold if you were on a train heading somewhere at any sort of speed, because the wind does kind of freaking blow.
Yep.
So I love how they actually showed him doing that, because that's not something you see in modern film anymore, especially any film that has a train movement or a train or anybody on top of a train.
No doubt. And James Dean is well known for his method acting, and you could tell he's very thoughtful in every little mannerism, every little movement he does. If you study him, it's like sometimes it may seem over the top, but I do appreciate every little thoughtful thing that he does. And and the great thing about Kazan is that he kind of just lets it happen. He doesn't really smother his actors. He kind of just lets them be as they are. And there's a lot of method actors in this film, so it really does show in all the little minuscule things that they're doing, and it makes you kind of just feel like this is real, despite it being super melodramatic. But just the way they're acting, it just feels like, oh, it's regular people doing regular shit.
Hey, Jacob, good to see you, buddy. So also there, when he follows her home, going back a minute, there's this giggling woman in back of him, just sitting on her friggin' porch, just laughing at him. Like, what is the purpose of this woman laughing at him?
She's just simply the crowd.
Yeah, it's like
watching these crazy people.
Yeah, it's like, holy crap, man. It is freaking hilarious. Janet from Another Planet, good to see you. Always happy to have you here. And so now back in Salinas, we see that, or we get introduced to Aaron and Abra. Now, folks, I didn't catch her name at the beginning of the movie, so it's like, what the frick is her name? What the frick is her name? And they keep on calling her Abra. I'm like, wait, like abracadabra?
Yep.
And it's like, holy
magic.
Crap. Yeah. Well, back then, holy crap, man, she was very attractive.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
think that the film creators were kind of a little concerned with Julia Harris portraying this character because she was a bit older than both the individual that played Aaron as well as James Dean. And it does show that she's definitely a little bit older, admittedly so. But like you said, she's very beautiful. And personally, from all of James Dean's 3 films, I think that she is the best love interest out
yes.
of all of them, and that's competing with one of my favorite actresses being Natalie Wood. I think Julie Harris is a great fit for James Dean, and she actually did study in the same New York school as Dean and as well as Marlon Brando, and she definitely is involved in method acting. She does it quite a bit in this film as well.
Oh, definitely in the method moment, because this woman in older films, caught a pattern of the more romantic entanglement. I call it the romantic entanglement theory, when she is indeed in love with Aaron at the beginning of this film. And she even flat out says, I hate Cal. He scares me. This boy frightens me. And they're in the woodshed or the ice shed while they're talking about it. And you see Cal just looking at him, but you also see Cal at another part of the ice shed in that scene where
Yeah.
she's like, he's looking at us right now. And then you see him start smashing the ice, going, sending it down the chute, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
How did he get over there? But he's now right there. It was one of those. I'm like, is that a movie mistake, or is there some sort of
If you notice when he's shoving like the ice blocks down, like a fuck ton of them are just going right down the chute. Clearly, he's not pulling them.
No.
That's silly movie making little things.
Yeah.
It's like when you look back on films and people just walk in the house and the doors unlocked. It's like, who does this? We both come from, I don't know, upstate New York's a whole different ball game. I've only visited up there a few times because my grandmother
very
lived
beautiful.
But in Queens, New York, we lock our doors. We have multiple doors. We have gates. We don't play like that with keeping doors unlocked.
We don't, or we keep our doors locked, but people up in this area, back during the 90s especially, people knew that the term fuck around and find out kind of comes to mind, because if a drifter came into this town looking for trouble, it'd be like, fuck around and find out, dude. But you may not live to tell about it.
It'd be like that.
I don't like getting into politics a lot. Let's just say that this area is red. Very much. We believe in
upstate,
constitutional.
Very, very.
Yeah, we believe in our Second Amendment.
Yeah.
All guys like an older woman to teach them. Hey, you're not exactly wrong, Janet. You're not exactly wrong. So he busts up, and this pisses his father off to the point where he gets him to fucking start reading the Bible.
But the thing is, it's like prior to this, like Adam, which is Raymond Massey, he's just kind of talks down to Dean prior to him doing that. And Dean, I guess, just felt like, in a sense, well, he clearly has a problem with me, and I feel like it's for no reason. So I guess I'm just going to say fuck it and give him a reason. And that's literally what kind of just brings him to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I just love how he's so defiant against his father when he's starts reading the Bible, and then he hands it over, or he slides the book down to his son, and his son reads out the numbers of the verses that pisses his father off. You are irredeemable. It's like,
yeah. And this film really does highlight the sense of good and bad. And Raymond Massey's character just outright calls James Dean bad, and it's so genuine, their disdain for each other, because the actors themselves on set could not stand each other. Raymond Massey and James Dean absolutely hated each other, and Elia Kazan pretty much added fuel to that flame for the sake of the authenticity of the film itself. Like James Dean would curse on set, and he had this thing where he never did anything the same way twice. He would never do that. And Raymond Massey, as an actor, he would very meticulously study the scripts that he was given, and he'd be able to deliver it word for word every time. So that was always a clash with a lot of people that James Dean did work with, being in Giant with what's his face, I forget his name, but many of the actors that he would deal with, they would absolutely hate that he would not just do the scene as it was meant to, and he, every time that would be an issue, he'd just do it more. He was very antagonistic naturally.
Nice.
So them Raymond Massey and James Dean butting heads on screen is, yes, Rock Hudson. Yes, Rock Hudson absolutely hated that as well. And so them butting heads was very authentic. Raymond Massey could not stand James Dean, and James Dean couldn't either. So James Dean just fucked with him even more.
It makes the chemistry on set even more authentic.
Exactly.
So then we learn that he just has a feeling about his mom, and he raises it with his father, and his father tells him the truth, but he also absolutely forbids him from letting Aaron know the truth about his mom. And she's described to be utterly without love. And I'm like, wait, that woman that he was following, is that his mom? I mean, I immediately picked it up because it's the biggest freaking hint was right there, you know?
Yeah. And I was really confused the first time I watched the movie, because it's like, I didn't know who she was. He was just,
exactly. You just think he's stalking this woman.
Exactly. The story doesn't really outright say it at the beginning. Oh, that's his mother that he's following. So it's like, when you do find out, it's like, oh shit, okay.
And then you find out.
It's a very strange like dynamic in general. The mother leaves the family. It's very odd.
Yeah. And so he goes back to Monterey that night after he is just done listening to his father's shit. Just runs out and heads back, and he goes to the bar, or to this bar, which is her business. And the barmaid, who was also the woman that works for her personally, she's actually taken some freaking drinks that she's supposed to be ordering for other people. She just slogs one, turns her back, and they're like, hey, we need our drinks. It's like, all right, fine, I'm coming. But she's also showing kindness to Cal, and he's like, I'm just looking for the owner of this establishment. Just point her out. Yeah, I mean, you could just point out the door, you know? And I'm like, this dude isn't even drunk yet, and he's coming across like he's freaking hammered. Like Paul Pelosi. But speaking of well, not hammered, but smash that like button, or show that like button some affection, folks, because James Dean didn't get the right amount of affection that he should have. So at least show the like button some affection. So getting back to it, he was also told by his father that his mother had the most beautiful hands, and she started wearing gloves because her own mother got arthritis in her hands. And so he goes back into the room where she's believed to be, and believe me, if this sort of thing was to happen in today, oh my God, it would just be super more weird than it was in this scene, where he sees that they actually show his hand, or the woman's hands, up close, and the arthritis in her knuckles, and he's like, please talk to me. She's kind of just napping in her chair, and she wakes up with this fucking stranger right in front of her, kneeling on the floor. And so it's like, holy shit, man. But then when she's actually opens the door to look at him, when her muscle is there to drag him out and whatnot, and he's holding on with dear life, I'm like, oh yeah, those two are definitely related. I mean, shit, they even kind of semi look alike.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the scene where he does ask her for money and they're
Yeah.
just staring at each other. It's like they weirdly have kind of the same nose. It's kind of
Yes.
weird. They do definitely have a strange resemblance.
Yes. I mean, it's like, oh my God, even though they're not actually related, you can almost see a slight relation there.
Yeah.
And so we basically learned that it is kind of, or he gets locked up for doing this. And the sheriff there confirms it for him. It's like, she is your mother, man. And he then finds out that his dad, or he knows that his dad has a scar on his arm. He's like, did my mom shoot my dad? You're like, yes. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, this woman shot her freaking husband, folks. I mean, holy crap. You learn so much stuff in this movie. It is freaking hilarious the way it goes down. And he's just, or the whole reason that he's doing this, he's just trying to find out why he is the way he is. Because he does kind of have a little bit of a sociopathic nature to him, where he doesn't care about certain things. And he wants to, but there's just the way that he's treated makes it pretty freaking hard.
Yeah, it's he's in a situation where it's like he doesn't relate to his brother, he doesn't relate to his father.
Nope.
Who am I? Why am I like this? Maybe learning about my mother, who I just discovered is alive, can give me some form of answers that I'm looking for as a young man. And I can definitely understand where he's coming from with that. And it's like, it's so weird because it's like I said, the film kind of just pushes like who's good, who's bad, and it's like his father is good, but it's like you told both your sons that their mother died. It's like you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of weird to just jump to who's good and who's bad, and how it's perceived. And I guess it's more of like self thing. Like James Dean's character does think that he's probably bad because he can't seem to please his father in any way, shape, or form.
I'm looking up something quickly here. Nope, not getting a clear answer on it, because later on I was looking at, because we all know that the First World War ramps up in this film.
Yep.
But yes, when he gets home, he's looking in the window and he sees his father is looking at the lettuce, and remember, refrigeration hasn't happened yet, folks, in this. This is 1919 or 17 rather. And he's looking at, or he's trying to develop a way to keep his lettuce from spoiling. And so then we get the next day and you see there's a lettuce harvest, and Cal has this coal chute that he's like, here, just roll it on down and whatnot. And his father sees it and he's like, this is a good idea, son. I'm proud of you. And then these guys roll up. It's like, our coal chute's missing. And he's like, I have no idea, or I hope you guys can find it and whatnot. And then he tells all of his workers to go out for lunch and whatnot. And Aber comes in looking for Aaron to deliver his lunch. And he's like, I'll bring it out to him. He's out on the field. And then he starts eating his freaking brother's lunch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, holy shit, dude. That is like peak based asshole.
Yeah. It's the crazy thing is, it's like, for example, like, this is like the most James Dean like this character is. It's like, I've looked at interviews with James Dean's younger cousin, Marcus Winslow Jr., I believe his name is, and he's just like, whenever I see East of Eden, I see my cousin James Dean. That's pretty much how he was. So it's interesting to watch the film and be like, this is kind of how he was, because it's like James Dean is kind of like this mystique. He's this, we know about him, but we know there's so much we don't know because we didn't really get to actually hear him, his life through his own words since he had
Yeah.
died so young. But in this particular scene, Cal is just saying, "Man, if I help my dad achieve his dream, then maybe he'll love me." So then he goes, to the lengths to be willing to do all this work and come up with good ideas in order to get this lettuce prepared and basically in the ice to be transported successfully. And he's determined to make it work and do anything he has to do it, including steal a coal chute to,
Yeah.
to make this happen properly. And it, I mean, James Dean's character is in this situation where he wants to do good, but moralistically, how he goes about it is very questionable. And stealing a coal chute from somebody is clearly, not a good thing.
Yeah. Because then it hurts that, or back then, folks, even something like, or as simple as a missing coal chute could actually set you back a lot of money, especially in businesses where that requires things like that. So he's talking with his brother or his brother's girlfriend, Abra, and she talks about how she one time intentionally lost $3,000. That was an engagement ring. Yeah. She threw an engagement ring away. That was going to be to her stepmother or her future stepmother, I believe it was.
Yep.
And it's like, she doesn't know why she did it, really. But it's like, well, of course you do. You didn't want this woman to be moving in on the motherly role. I mean, that's your mom's role,
Yeah.
Back then, divorce was not really a very common thing. In fact, it was extremely sacrilegious to the point of excommunication if you were a devout Christian or Catholic. So he's also there's also the mention of the woman or the Hispanic girl, and the way that Julie Harris is acting in this, it's like, didn't she seriously just tell her brother, or his brother, a few scenes ago, that she is frightened of this man, that she hates this man, and then she's suddenly starting to be nicer to him and talk with him. It's like, okay, now she's getting to know him, and it's like,
yeah, she's drawn to him. There's a mystique about him, arguably, even though it is scary. She's scared to approach, but in a way, when she's explaining the situation where she threw away the wedding engagement ring, the $3,000, it's like she kind of understands, where James Dean's character is coming from in a sense of not being able to get along with his father and having that disdain for each other. And in a way, she thinks that he's on a bad path, and that's why she's scared of him and how erratic he is. In a way, when she says like, hey, I had this dispute with my father, and given we're not best buddies now, but we have an understanding and we get along the best that we can, even if I don't really like my stepmother. And it's kind of like she's offering Cal an alternative to being like just this clashing resentfulness that is between he and his father.
Mm-hmm. And she gives him a little bit of common ground with the whole stealing the $3,000 thing.
Yeah, she can definitely relate to him due to that situation. And she's basically saying, I went down this path of hatred and I understand, but I managed to, make the best out of it. And I took the step forward and to try and resolve the dispute because, I felt like it was the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And so she also, there's a line that she delivers. It's like, women just gravitate to you or something along those lines. And we find out later, it's like, boy, you have no idea. Because obviously she is gravitating with him. It's the bad boy, or it's the bad boy syndrome. Women are just drawn to it. And so his brother eventually arrives. And he's like, hey, that looks like a coal chute. His father's head just whips around. It's like, God damn it, Caleb. It's like, it's like, Aaron, make one of these out of wood. It's a good idea, but you're returning the damn closure.
Yeah, it's like it's a moment where you could tell that his father kind of notices Cal trying, even though
Yeah.
he's kind of not the best way. And I think it's important, for
Yes.
that's what Cal is looking for him to realize that, oh, I exist, acknowledge me, and I guess he gets a little taste of that at best, and even if it's with the scolding and
Yeah, and I absolutely love that. It's like he takes a head of lettuce and just rolls it down. It's like, this is a pretty ingenious idea, but we gotta make our own version of it. And then we get we get the lettuce on the train, and this is a venture that he's putting a lot of money into with the whole ice and getting it down. So the train takes off, and we get the automobile scene where his father is really taken in with this whole automobile, the internal combustion engine. Fun fact, folks, if you or Tolkien has been the talk of Twitter lately, mainly because of that god awful show on Amazon, and one of Tolkien's a famous quote of Tolkien is, the worst invention in the entire world is the internal combustion engine. And they show the reason basically why. I mean, the process of starting this thing is like so freaking, it's like, well, you could lose your thumb, you could lose your arm. That's kind of backward, don't you think?
yeah.
Or you can lose your arm and then you can lose your thumb. And he's like, well, it is kind of backward. And friggin' Caleb and Abra are laughing about this.
Yeah. And it's one of the scenes that humanizes Raymond Massey's character, and he's joking, and James Dean points that out, and it's a good scene because I mean, the main thing to take away from it is that Raymond Massey is dead set on this working. He's assuming it's gonna work, so it's like, hey, why not get a car? We're gonna be rich. And
never-ending optimism,
pretty much,
essentially. And however, we then get news that his father's lettuce car from the train got stopped because the path they were going by had a slide of snow, and there's literally just gallons of water just pouring out of the lettuce cart. Yeah. And he pulls a head of lettuce that is just wilted dead, and he's like, it's okay, it's a sound plan, I know it. And it's like, we get the proposal for the bean harvest. He's like, why don't we just start growing beans? We can make the money back, especially if we get involved in the war in Europe, because back then it wasn't called World War I, it was just called the war.
The World War, yep.
And it's like, if we get involved in the war, beans will go up from 3.5 cents to 10 cents, and we'll definitely make a mint out of it, And so he finds out that this is going to have to cost like around $5,000. And I love how he talks with his father's partner about the whole thing. He pulls the fire alarm in the schoolhouse.
Yep.
And he just swings on in. It's like, God,
like Tarzan.
Yeah, he swings in like Tarzan. He's like, just wanted to talk to you about this thing. I really have a good idea about the beans. And it's like, it's going to cost like $5,000 to sow a field, And
I think it's worth noting, though, with Raymond Massey's character, his dream was just crushed, and the way he kind of just shrugged it off. And it's like, basically his son, Aaron, he kind of is just shocked that Raymond Massey's character just kind of shrugs it off, and Cal's just like, you don't even realize you don't even know who he is, sort of deal. Like, Cal feels as though he really does know his father. He knows his father was indeed crushed. That was his dream of being able to achieve transporting all this lettuce successfully without, through icing it down and using the cold to preserve it. And that clearly didn't work out for him. And Raymond Massey knows that it's a good idea. It's just he didn't have the means to be able to carry it out. And so now Cal is dead set on, well, my dad's dreams just got crushed and he has no money now. He put everything on the line for this, and I have to now try and do what I can to, a way of earning his love is to get him his money back.
Yep. And so he's like, you're gonna need the $5,000. And then there's the scene where his mother is walking by and whatnot, and he starts walking with her, and she starts asking about her or his brother, and his husband's like, how's your father doing? Kind of just out of idle curiosity. It's not that she cares. It's out of sheer idle curiosity.
She now knows who he is, because previously she didn't.
Yeah, she now has figured it out that, oh my God, this is my son. So maybe I will show a little bit of interest, you know? I mean, obviously he does kind of need it.
Yeah.
And so she talks with him. She admits it indirectly, essentially. And he then asks for the $5,000 from her. And I love her side of the story of why she left. It's like, I was not into all that religious shit. And he wanted to keep me. He's like, well, why'd you shoot dad? Or why'd you shoot my daddy? And she's like, oh, is that what it is? I shot him because he wouldn't let me go. He was always saying that I had to stay because this and that. And it's like, well, if you definitely want to get the point across, well, shoot somebody. I mean,
pretty much.
What
John Steinbeck, when he wrote this book, East of Eden, he put a lot of himself in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like his relationship, from what I know, to his second wife is kind of how the dynamic between Joe Van Fleet's character and Raymond Massey's character are. I think that he actually wanted to make things work with his second wife, and his second wife is from what I know, is kind of a bitch. I know that John Steinbeck's one of his best friends had died, and literally after coming home from his friend discovering his friend having died and having went there, and right then she demanded a divorce from him. So it's kind of like you kind of get a sense of what kind of woman that is to really do that at a man's like most weakest point. And it really shows in her character here that she just wants out. She wanted out, and she got it one way or another, and whatever she had to do in order to get her freedom. And in a way, it's kind of like I wonder how bad it really was. And it's like Cal can clearly relate. She brought up the concept that Adam was reading the Bible at her, and Cal's just like, yeah, I've dealt with some of that myself.
And then it's like, and now you're going to come at me and ask for $5,000 to help your father, or so that you could help your father regain his lost income, essentially. It's like, that is just peak irony, but she fucking does it. She actually gives him the $5,000. And after he leaves, you see her turn, and the look on her face says it all. It's like, she does care for her son. So she will do this.
She shows some level of regret. I mean, clearly she's very proud of what she did. She's proud that she left that farm. She did what she had to do to be freed, and she built a large amount of wealth from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy to think that she really was capable of doing that.
Not only that, she has
underhanded way. She does it through owning a cat house. But
she freaking has half of the freaking town council in her pocket, because it's like half the town council comes here, so I own them essentially.
Yeah, essentially, she has social power, no doubt.
Information is currency in the way of capitalism, folks. Information can be just as valuable as money when it comes to certain businesses, when it comes to certain endeavors. If you have the right information, if you have the right leverage, you can basically get what you want. And she absolutely, without hesitation, knows that, and she exploits it.
She's proud of it too.
Exactly. And she even tells him, it's like, you don't take after your dad one bit, but you take after me, and that is basically why she helps.
Yeah, she sees
Knowing people's
a
secrets is
lot of
current.
herself.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, yeah. I'll just say that I absolutely agree with Rob's motto movies there.
It's facts.
For reasons that I will not disclose. So he's now going to get his his bean crop going, and we see the paper drop, War with Germany, and his bean business is definitely going to thrive because he bought beans at 5 cents. Well, now they're automatically going to jump up. We also learn that Abra is a nurse. Aaron doesn't like what's going on with the war, and the German who is their friend, or who is friends with his father, well, he's like, this is not right. This is not right. Not all of us support this at all, because there's a nice little parade. And I swear to God, I've seen a crossbreed of a dog that I have never seen this kind of crossbreed before. A German Shepherd and a freaking Collie. And I'm like, whoa. I have never seen a German Shepherd with that big of a freaking mane of hair. And I'm like, that is so freaking interesting. But we also see that this is where Aaron does start to get bitter. His father's business is kind of sunk. And now Cal has a new endeavor that might work and whatnot. But Aaron is just bitter. Not because there's a draft, because the draft didn't happen yet. And he's like, I don't support this at all and whatnot.
Yeah, mostly it just falls down to his morality. He's been so coddled by his father. He's been taught to be everything that's good, and this war is not good. It's murder. It's a lot of heinous acts and hatred behind it. And he clearly resents that, and he kind of just goes into his little cocoon because he doesn't know how to deal with it. And it actually affects his relationship with Abra, and it kind of makes Abra start to question herself as a woman, as a person. She would like to think that she's a good person, but when Aaron kind of falls back, and then on top of it all just talks about his mother holding her up like she's a saint. And how Abra realizes, I can never be anything like that. She's in this place of questioning herself.
Yep. And we now earn that another little bit of time goes by, and there's 120,000 prisoners are taken after the U.S. is involved in the war. We see that the bean field is growing, and the hatred towards the Germans is growing even further. And we get to the carnival. Now, I could have sworn that this German guy that is over, or that is in at this carnival, kind of looks like Adolf Hitler. It's not World War II Adolf Nazi Party Hitler, but we do know that
he's got the strange stash going on, not quite like Hitler's, but I mean, I get where he's coming from.
In the late 19 teens, Hitler was in the United States. He was actually in the United States meeting with Coolidge, and then he had also met with Teddy Roosevelt and whatnot. And hello, nerd with a cigar. Good to see you. And yes, Rob, we are the products of our environments. Low-key. Yeah, it is essentially a low-key Hitler. And another theme that comes up is the people are formed by the events around them. The time makes the man, or the time makes the man doesn't make the time. Exactly. And when I saw that there was a lot of hatred towards the German and whatnot, and because of stuff that's going on, holy crap, did I get reminded of a lot of the shit that's happened over the last few years. people are simply judging people by guilt by association, essentially. And because this guy is German, he is somehow at fault for what Germany is doing overseas. And
he doesn't 100% denounce everything that Germany's doing. He is the enemy.
Yeah. And so then we get the scene with Abra and the Ferris wheel, and how she's talking with Cal and how she's admitting that she's looking for Aaron, but Aaron isn't around. So Cal's comforting her essentially. And then it's like, well, she's just too taken with Cal at the moment. There's a moment of passion. They kiss on the Ferris wheel, and that's when they fucking show up. That's when Aaron shows up. He doesn't see it, thank God. But the freaking mob starts going after the German guy, and he's like, well, that ain't right. And he freaking just goes off, or leaves Abra on the Ferris wheel and climbs down because the Ferris wheel is no longer going because, well, even the freaking director of the Ferris wheels decided to go after the German guy. And
they're just fueled by absolute hatred. Yeah, exactly.
It's a hate mob.
I really like the scene where Abra and James Dean just go through the carnival, and they're just having their little moment. Clearly, Cal is up to little antics, stealing things, and planting it on Abra, and they go through the mirrors that distort them, and it's kind of like, I don't know if it's like that's intentional, like distorting, I guess, making them look ugly or like they're bad or something. I don't know, maybe I'm reaching there, but
no, actually symbolism was done a lot in film back then. Even
Kazan really did. I think a lot of it, a lot of his works that I've seen personally, is particularly in this one, and I thought that was interesting. And yeah, it's like when they get to the Ferris wheel, Abra has a big confession that I don't know who I am. I don't know if I'm a good person. I don't know if I'm meant for Aaron. I love Aaron. I love that he's a good person, but she admits that she sort of lost him due to all this like war related stuff, and just everything that she wants to live up to. She questions whether she's good enough to do that, and she's also kind of taken by Cal, this mysterious guy that's bad, and she's drawn to him, but she is also scared of him, but she wants to get to know him because she can kind of relate to him, especially now that her and Aaron kind of just have fallen off a little bit, and push comes to shove, they have a little moment where they do kiss.
Yep. And then we get
she immediately regrets it. That's the thing.
She does.
She had a little taste, and she's like, "Oh no, this is bad."
Yep. It's like, oh shit, I can't go down this road. So when the mob starts, and then the freaking riot goes on, and there's a fight and whatnot, and Cal goes in, starts tossing punches because people are going after him, and it's nuts. Wakes up and stumbles into the chat. How you doing, Iman? Good to see you, bub.
Iman's a good dude. He's mad chill.
So,
coming through, bro.
Yeah. And then this one guy is like, or the sheriff comes up and he's like, puts the guy up, and the guy's like, just takes a swing, and it's like, oh shit, you just swung at the sheriff.
Yeah.
And it's so freaking great.
It's crazy how they do show respect to him, though. Like, they were clearly in a raged mob mentality, but once they realize, oh shit, he's here. Okay,
law's here. Time to bounce.
Let's just stop.
It's like, because he's like, and how are you, good sir? We'll have all of this cleaned up. I'm pretty sure people could take a little bit of time out of their day to help you clean it up, right, folks?
And casual.
He's just so freaking matter of fact about it, because he's like, because y'all ain't gonna start pulling this shit. Y'all are not gonna be going after this guy simply because he's German. You're gonna freaking remember that he's American over here. He's not saying that, but it's like he's projecting it.
Yep.
and he's doing it in such a great way. And then Aaron comes in, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit. And he's like, why'd you have to start throwing punches? Why'd you have to get involved? And he's like, I want to help you, Aaron. And he's like, I want to fucking help.
Yeah,
And he's like, punching at.
It's hilarious because it's like Aaron is kind of just set off. He notices that Abra is holding his brother's coat. He
Yep.
doesn't like that clearly, and Aaron's just like, "Why'd you start the fight? Was it to show off for her?"
Yeah.
And literally it just becomes this point where Cal just feels like, oh, he's crossing the line. He just punches the shit out of Aaron, knocks him to the ground, punches him like twice, and then like Aaron is just like pissed off, and he's like it's just hilarious how it plays out because it's like, Aaron's just like, are you finished? And James Dean's just like, no, he just starts wailing.
No, man, I'm not. I'm trying to help you, and he just goes after him. It's like, oh my god, it makes no sense. But it does make sense because it's just weird. But yes, this movie was done in 1955.
Yeah, it's definitely an old bit of goodie.
Yeah. And so then Aaron stumbles over to the bar as if it's like, I don't think he was even drunk, but he stumbles over there like he's purely drunk at the point. And he's like, just give me a drink. And he's just nursing it a little bit. Abra comes in. She's like, you got to tell him that kiss meant nothing. You got to tell me that. And he doesn't tell her that. That is it's like,
all he's concerned about, like in the moment, is just proving that he's the better son. He's literally, when she's like, tell me that it didn't mean anything, he's literally just like, he's gonna know who his real son is. It's like, and Abra's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm sick of this shit. He's gonna know who his real son is. Yeah, he is. Give me another. Give me another. Fucking thing.
It's like, bro, he's just Cal, how old are you? Are you even allowed to drink? What is going on here?
I mean, I think you'll find that the characters were like it's like 17 and Aaron's 18 or something like that. Maybe even 19.
Yeah.
But it's like, holy crap. And so he wants to go, or he goes to his partner with the whole bean thing, so that he's like, and he's stumbling in drunk. It's like, this is the worst idea that you could do. He's like, I just want the money. And he's like, well, I don't got the money with me. Well, you're going to get the money for me. And you're like, look, tomorrow's a new day. We'll go to the money. I'll buy out your shares and I'll be stinking rich. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. And I'm like, why would you do this, dude? You could still make a freaking mint. But he only wants enough money to give to his father to pay back the money that he lost.
Yep, that's all.
He's not in it to be stinking rich. I mean, he should be, but you know.
I mean, like, to him, like, he's a young guy.
Yeah, he just wants his father.
Young people are just, they don't think ahead. You know, young people are very naive in that sort of way. He doesn't think, oh, I can make a fortune out of this. He's just saying, no, if I make back this money that my father lost, he'll finally fucking love me. That's literally all he cares.
And it's pure, he's doing it out of pure altruism too. It is out of pure altruism that he's just trying to help his dad get back in the game. And he goes to Abra, literally climbs up onto the roof, and it's like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, damn, this just has so many bad ideas attached to it. Because there is such potential here. Folks, there is such potential that you could get the whole tender love scene. You could get him being so freaking drunk that he just falls off the damn roof. You could get any sort of different things that could happen here. And he's like, I want to throw a party for dad, or for my dad. I want to get a turkey. I want to get all sorts of cool stuff. And I need your help. Will you help me to do this? And she agrees. And he starts
bad for him. She wants him so bad to earn that love that he needs from his father, because he's never gotten it from anyone. And I
Exactly.
think that that's why she has an affection for him, because she knows that he's so driven by all this anger and angst because he's never been loved in his life.
Yeah. And she truly cares. She's gone from absolutely hating this man, this boy, to being, well, semi kind of taken with him and loving him a little bit too. Not in love, but loving him as extended family, so to speak. Even though there hasn't been any sort of reports of a engagement yet, but wink, wink. So he's going down to get down. He's like, "How did I get up here?" I just love how he says that. It's like,
Yeah.
how did I go? Oh, right there. It's like, oh my god, this dude is so fucking drunk. And I love. There's funny drunk folks, and then there's absolutely uninteresting drunk.
Yep, shit faced.
James Dean pulls off funny drunk. He really does. And it's like, oh my god, how did I get up here again? I mean,
he has an interesting way of, like, you can tell he's a very meticulous person, very brooding most of the time, even in real life. But he also has this way of winning you over, if it be with a little smirk or just this little thing that he has to say. He can be very, very charming and alluring when he wants to be.
I mean, if they are looking at the thumbnail to this stream, that scene where he's talking with Abra, his smile with her and his smiling eyes and whatnot, it's like, is it me or could somebody do a James Dean biopic with freaking James Franco as James Dean?
They did that.
Wait, they did?
That exists, yes.
Holy shit, okay, I must be behind on the time.
That actually is a thing, and I actually don't mind the movie. I really don't.
He actually, James Franco did a movie where he played James Dean.
He did play James Dean.
What fucking planet am I living on?
It's a pretty decent biopic, admittedly. I mean, I have like minor issues and gripes with it, but I think it's relatively decent in its own right. Yeah, he definitely has the basic look of a James Dean. Personally, I don't. You can't really compare to James Dean for me, but I think he did a good job with what he was given.
Oh my god, I can't believe that I actually didn't know that. Yeah. I'm just way behind, folks. Just because I show you. It's
definitely been a few fucking years, man. It's been.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look for that now. I am going to have to look for that because it's like getting James Franco vibes from this guy. I was just about to say that James Franco looks like James Dean. Wow.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there is a little bit of resemblance, particularly how James Franco used to style his hair as well. I mean, you could tell he was clearly inspired by James Dean. I believe he even said that he was a fan of James Dean.
Well, hey, thank God I'm not the only one. Romano doesn't even know about it.
Yeah. It's actually pretty decent. It's not completely accurate. Like I said, James Dean's a very not completely known individual. He didn't really get the chance to speak for himself in a lot of things. A lot of things is secondhand knowledge, really. But for what we do know of James Dean, I think it's pretty interesting for what it is. With this scene where he is up on the roof, you really notice that in a lot of this movie, James Dean does a thing where he just turns away from everyone. And he even does that with Abra. But that's like a moment where they have such clear, distinct eye contact with each other. And throughout the film, Cal has never really done that with anyone. So you could tell that they have this deep, they at least have somewhat of a connection with each other, Abra and Cal, that Cal doesn't have with anyone else. And you really do feel that throughout the whole film.
James Dean died in 1955.
He did.
The same year that this movie came out.
Matter of fact, this was his
last movie.
This is the only film that he actually did get to see of his. He didn't see Rebel Without a Cause. He didn't see Giant. He only got to see East of Eden before he had passed on.
Apparently, he died in a car crash.
Yeah, he did. It's pretty crazy, his death. He was literally driving his race car, I believe, to Salinas, and back in the day, the only conclusion I think that makes sense that we can come to is back in the day, the car he was driving was a race car. It was this tiny, low riding car. It's so
Porsche.
fucking tiny. Yeah, it's a Porsche. I think it's Spider, I believe. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure.
or it says right here, James Dean, or at 5:45 p.m. on September 30th, 1955, 24-year-old actor James Dean is killed in Kalami, California, when the Porsche he was driving hits a Ford Tudor sedan at an intersection.
Yeah, it destroyed his car.
Oh,
He was driving his race car. It's this small little tiny thing. It's nothing like cars of its time.
No.
Honestly, I think that maybe he was definitely driving over the speed limit, but he was actually a race car driver. He's very knowledgeable on racing. That was actually one of his biggest passions, maybe even more so than acting itself. He wanted to be a professional race car driver, and he was working towards that. But he was driving straight down this road, and the person that hit him was turning. And what he did, and according to actual race car drivers, they say that what he did is typical race car driving, where he's not really trying to stop. He's trying to turn around it. And unfortunately, just
He was
didn't
trying to
work.
slide drift.
Exactly. It didn't work out for him. It was a head-on collision, and he basically, I think he broke his neck. His face got slammed into the steering wheel. The person that was riding with him got launched out of the car.
Oh,
It
damn.
was pretty. Yep, it is pretty ugly. It's really sad. He's only 24.
Yeah.
It's strange how all the main actors in Rebel Without a Cause died in some fucked up ways. James Dean, car wreck. Natalie Wood drowned, and Sal Mineo got stabbed, I think, outside of his fucking apartment building. So.
Yikes. So we then get to Zipati, and his fear of Aaron showing him up. He knows that she said that Aaron's going to come back or on his way with a gift too. And he's like, well, he's not going to be able to show me up, is he? And whatnot. And she's like, oh,
she doesn't know anything.
She doesn't know. She's like, believe me, if I knew, I would tell you. And you see that Abra really does start, like, she's more taken with Aaron or with Cal at this point. Yeah, she loves Aaron, but she is more taken with Cal at this point.
I think, like, really, the main thing is she wants to see Cal get what he's looking for. Really, he's desperate for love and compassion from his father, and I think that she's willing to do what she can to help him achieve that, because she understands where he's coming from due to her previous situation, and she feels as though that would make him a better person if he got that love and affection that he desires from his father.
Mm-hmm. And so his father comes in, and his brother comes in too, and his brother's just, that his brother is going to show him up in this scene. And so he hands him the money, and he's like, this is all the money that you lost. I got this for you. And he's like, how'd you get it? Beans. And so...
But hold on. All
right.
His brother introduces his gift prior to this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's crazy because Aaron is barely even in the scene. He didn't set up anything. No. He just simply walked in with his father. And prior to his father walking into the house, it's his father's birthday. His father's walking home, and his father is essentially, he works for the draft board, and unfortunately he sends young men out to war and to possibly get killed and be dismembered, and it's a heavy load on his shoulders for someone he's very biblical, he's very moral, he doesn't want to see this war happen, but at the end of the day he's broke and he's trying to make a living, and he really, it is a big weight on his shoulders. And the farmer that was growing Cal's beans was like, you can't send my son off to war. I need him so I can make money with these crops, because basically Cal had bought all these beans, him and the individual he's in business with, at a really low price before the war. And basically they're going to see all the gains, not necessarily the farmer himself. So he's like, I need my son to be able to keep us going. And Adam's just like, I'm so sorry. I wish there was something I could do, but I can't in this situation. I can't really favoritize your son in this situation. And it's a heavy load on him. And when he walks in and his Aaron is just like, hey, I didn't set up this gift for you or anything, but I just want to let you know that me and Abra are actually engaged. And
haven't asked her yet. He actually says that too. Haven't talked to Abra yet about this, but we're engaged. It's like, you fucker. I mean, that's what I'm thinking as soon as I saw that scene. Because I do remember, yes, I accidentally took it out of order. But it's like, oh, you fucker. You son of a bitch. Because automatically his father's like, this is the best gift anyone could ever. Yep. Nothing can top this. He literally says that, essentially.
Exactly. Adam literally says that even while holding Cal's gift in his fucking hand.
Yeah. And it's like, are you I mean, it's like, I'm like, at this point, I am like freaking Samuel L. Jackson in the Nick Fury commercial where it shows this SJW is about to be the head of the freaking Marvel department. And he's like, are you and they stop it right there. And I'm like, that's me at this point, because this dude literally just fucked his brother over.
And you could tell Abra was not in on it.
No, she wasn't.
Like, oh shit. Like, everything me and Cal put together is probably
ruined at this point.
Maybe in trouble, but let's try anyway.
Because she does actually urge him on. He's like now looking at Abra, and she's like, oh. And so he shows him the money. He's like, where'd you get this? Beans. Give it back. He automatically rejects it because essentially in his mind, it's war profiteering.
Exactly.
And he's like, I bought the beans 5 cents on the dollar when they were only running for 3.5 cents. So it's like, I bought high. He actually bought high in this case. And he's like, I can't accept this. I have sent people over to their deaths. I can't accept this. You can see where his father is coming from.
Yeah, it's like he's so morally like driven, and Cal just has no sense of morality whatsoever. He has good intentions. I think the most noteworthy thing about Cal is he has good intentions. He wants to do good things, but he has no semblance of morality whatsoever. Whereas his father is constantly harping on morality and doing good and being clean, and Cal just can't relate, and this just breaks Cal.
Yep. It's like, I have tried every fucking thing.
He literally begs him to take the money.
My mother was fucking right. You are so fucking high on your damn horse of morality.
Like, and the thing is, that's his final thing. He can't think of anything else but this, and he literally tries to force his father to take the money. And that scene where he turns around with the money and he just like literally throws himself on Raymond Massey was total improv. That wasn't in the script at all. And Raymond Massey's reaction to it, he just doesn't know what to do. He's just standing there like, get the fuck off of me.
Yeah, I know. It's like
Cal,
oh shit.
And literally James Dean just breaks down and starts crying, almost trips over a chair as he drops the money on the floor and just realizes, I can never get to this man. I can never get this one thing that I desire more than anything in this world. And he just runs out crying.
And that's when Abra goes to him, and it's like, what's going on behind that shrub? Because it's like, is she kissing him again? But
she's definitely not kissing him. But
not kissing him, but she's comforting him,
embracing him, trying to get him to calm down, because she knows
that he is
depth to this moment. Like, this is everything to him, and it just literally exploded right in his face.
Yep. And to make it even worse, folks, Aaron comes out. I want you to stay away from Abra. Don't ever come near her. Don't ever fucking talk to her. Don't ever do it. It's like, oh, okay.
And not only that, he's just like he literally says that like you're genuinely evil. Like me and father have dealt with every heinous, disgusting act you've ever done, and we've always forgive you, but you're just bad. You're irredeemable, and he just doesn't want him anywhere near Abra.
And he's like, or that's basically the ultimate tipping point for Cal. He's like, oh, I'm bad. You want me to stay with? Are you okay? Well, I'm gonna tell you something, and it's like, oh shit. Now, folks, there are strong-willed people out there that can handle harsh truths, and then there's those who are absolutely fucking broken when they realize hard truths. James Dean, Cal, he's like, you want to learn about our mother? You see her as this glowing example of morality and all this. Well, let's go. I want to show you something. Are you afraid of the truth? Well, I'm going to show you the truth. He's like, I don't fear anything you can show me. It's like,
yeah, like Aaron's just bold. He doesn't think that he doesn't think that it's possible that
his brother could do
anything bad. And it's like the depth of Aaron's thoughts of his mother is that his mother is a saint. She is everything good, to the point where when he talks up his mother to Abra, it discourages Abra. It makes her feel as though she's lesser than. She can never live up to this patron saint in his mind. And Cal at this point, he just wants to watch the world burn. He's like, how can I cannot get to my father, therefore now I will lash out. And what is the biggest thing I can do to get to my father? And that's to destroy the son that he loves the most. Exactly. The one son that he loves, I will destroy him. And the way he goes about it is like
the purest cruelty.
It's so perverse, even. Yeah. It is genuinely perverse.
Oh, yeah.
When he does bring his brother to the cat house and introduces.
It's like, hi, Ma. Here's your other son, Aaron. Aaron, this is our mother. You want to spend time with the mom? He literally shoves his brother into his mother and closes the door. His brother is screaming at this point because he's in shock, and he shoves him back in, slams the door shut, and just swags out.
And it's like in the most, like I said, it's so perverse. He just, like, they're in a cat house. He shoves his own brother in a sexual manner right onto his mother. Yeah. and shuts the door. It's so, like, honestly, this is 1955. Like, stuff like that.
And it takes place in 1917.
Yeah, so it's like, that's kind of like, that's daring for that time.
Oh, yeah. This is, I mean, when you actually see Aaron get shoved into it, it's like, oh my God, I don't think that was scripted. Because
to be honest, I don't know for sure.
It's like, oh my God, because she kind of just seriously fell into that chair.
I think it was scripted. I don't think that James. Look, James Dean is a whole lot of things. I don't think he would put a woman's an older woman's livelihood or at stake with shoving a grown man essentially into her. Yeah. I think it was set up so that she would fall on the
chair. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just so daring and over the top. And
another one. Locking user. There we go. Sorry about that, but you were saying.
Yeah, it's you just know that Aaron at this point is just broken. Like, James Dean is broken in a different sense, because Cal's character, he knows how to deal with certain things, like things that aren't moralistic. He's not idealistic like Aaron. Aaron is extremely idealistic. He's been so protected by his father all this time, and I think a big reason why Adam resents Cal is because he broke out of that shell of protection and immediately just um, fell out of idealism as soon as possible.
And he was too much like his mother, essentially.
Exactly.
And what you gotta realize, folks, is he had a potential great or good thing going with his mom, a potential for a relationship with his mom. He just destroyed that when he destroyed his brother.
Yeah. It's just, he like I said, young brain, don't think ahead of the game at all. Just I need my revenge right now.
He's not thinking long game. He's like scorched earth. Fuck the world.
Yep.
And so then he gets back there, and then his father's like, "Where's Aaron? Where's Aaron? Where's Aaron?" And he's just swinging out in the back. He's like, "I told him the truth. I told him about her mom. He's talking with her right now." And then the sheriff shows up, and it's like Aaron has gotten into a fight. He's really stressed out, and he enlisted.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. And so they're
like
running
a whole other human being. But like the scene where James Dean is on the swing, I love the way it's like angled. It looks so the artsiness of it is just, I really love Kazan's style in this film. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I think this is like the strongest moment in the film where he basically says, "You never loved me, you never loved my mother, because your goodness, your rightness, and you're
so righteous that you couldn't even see what was in front of you."
Exactly. And it's like, we weren't perfect, but that's why you rejected us. And basically admits he's jealous of the love that he bared for his brother his entire life, and he couldn't take it anymore. And so his final that was the final straw. He tried to essentially buy his father's love, and when that failed, there was nothing left for him there. Yeah. And it's so, watching that scene, honestly, it makes me cry. It really does.
It is the coldest cruelty.
Yeah, it's just, it's so real. The way that he delivers that, just, tonight I even tried to buy your love, and now I don't want it. I don't care. It's worthless to me. I don't give a fuck anymore. And then he just walks off.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, I don't think any actor has struck me like in that scene.
And so the sheriff shows up, and he decides to enlist, and he goes nuts, and they go to the train yard where Aaron was last seen, and they see him, or his father is like, Aaron, where are you? And Aaron sees him, and he busts his own head through the window, laughing hysterically at his father.
Yeah.
Aaron has lost all sane thought about his father because he hates his father now. He is essentially laughing in his father's face like, you are so fucking dead to me right now.
It's almost like he just smashed his head through that glass, like breaking through that protective lying barrier that his father had there for him.
More symbolism. There you go. And he's even bleeding, and he's laughing as the train starts rolling. He's just laughing his head off while other soldiers are getting up to kind of try to pull him in, and he's just laughing his damn head off. And then his father falls having the stroke, and we get to him being in bed because of a massive stroke, and the sheriff drops the line, when Cain slew Abel, he was banished east of Eden. Why don't you go somewhere?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when the sheriff says that, because he seemed to be like the most level-headed guy.
And he also tried helping him.
Yeah, and even he's just like, I don't want to see your fucking face ever again for what you did, because the sheriff really valued his father and thought that Aaron was also a good person too, and he really feels as though Cal destroyed them.
Yep. And it really is sad, and then you get this fucking like Nurse Ratched bitch for a nurse. It's like, do you have something, or is there something that I could do? Do you got like a magazine or something that I could read? Is there some
Don't make me
coffee?
coffee.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
all these demands. It's just
she's
so
such a
annoying.
demanding bitch. And so what happened to his father, the stroke was so massive, his left side is completely paralyzed. So his right side, you do realize he can emote and whatnot. And so she goes in, and then she comes out, and she's like, he's talking, or he goes in, and Abra's like, you have to try to reach your father. This is the last time this is your absolute last chance. And he goes in, and he tries, and he tries at first, and he doesn't get anything, so he gets out.
Yeah.
And that's when Abra has just had enough. She bears her freaking heart and soul out to her, or to his father, and it's like,
Adam, yeah.
I care for your son deeply, and all he has ever wanted was your love and approval. That's all. He's done everything he possibly knows how to do just to win a nod of affection. So this could be your last time. Give your son something, you know?
Yeah, and
And
she's saying that Cal can never be a real man because he bears all this hatred for his own father. He's gonna go through life with this anger and resentment and not have a clear head, and he can't be a true man until he comes to terms with this situation.
Yep. And you see that his father is acknowledging this. You actually do see that he has a little bit of response to it. And then the nurse comes in, and then he comes in again, and the nurse steps out. She's like, or with Aberron's like, is there anything that I can read and whatnot? And so he's going in. He's like, is there anything I could do for you, Dad? Please. And he's like, Cal, the nurse, I can't stand her. He's saying this slowly, folks. He's like, get me another nurse.
He's totally bedridden and almost can't do anything for him. He literally can't do anything for himself. He could barely even speak.
Yeah, he could barely even speak. He's having to struggle with this. And can you guys stop talking about me? And so he then whispers something to Cal that you don't hear. And then the fucking nurse comes in. I'm sorry, folks, but this is the funniest part of this entire movie. The nurse is like, I couldn't find anything to read out there. Get out! He just screams it. Get out! And I had to pause the movie because I seriously hurt my gut laughing at that. It's like, oh my fucking God.
It's like he's so loud, and you would think it's over the top. Oh, it's over. Oh, he's being over the top. But no, if you watch the scene and just,
it's like all that hatred,
how annoying she is, and how obnoxious, and clearly she's doing it just because it's a job, and you can get that.
She wants this dude to die. She's actually said that to Abra. She's like, he's a good guy, but he ain't got long. Can't wait for this one to go. And it's like, oh my God, I would have, if that was my dad in there. I'm being straight with you folks. If my dad was on his fucking deathbed and a nurse came in saying, I hope he goes soon and whatnot, it's like, nurse, you better get the fuck out of here before I send you to heaven, because you do not say that shit about my family. And basically when he screams that, get out, he is letting out all the hatred for his father. He is letting out all the yearning for his father's love, because he has found that small sliver of common ground with his father. His father had already told him, I want you to do something for me. And when that nurse comes in, he is able to project all of his past anger at that one target. And that is literally all all of it is just bled out of him. And so when he goes to Abra and she's like, what did he want? He wants me to stay with him and look after him. And I will do that. I will stay with my father. I will stay with him and I will love him.
Yeah.
And it really is a touching moment. And the thing is, folks, the thing is, folks, he actually, there is no full romantic entanglement here with Abra. She does love him, and there is an absolute chance that those two will get together. I mean, chances are Aaron's going to the bug house. I mean, he's probably going to get himself shot going over there because of how broken he is. I'm just being flat out honest. There's no chance Aaron would survive. And chances are it would, or back then, there was some people who actually did that. It's like, well, all right, go with the second son, you know? And it's already there, that chemistry. I mean, she cares for him. She could also learn to love him. And now that he is no longer that bad boy, she could probably go to love him now that he is willing to actually take care of his father. And it's like, well, Dad, I will take care of you. But I'm also going to keep that fucking money because it's going to have to go toward helping you. Essentially.
Yeah,
but we don't cover that, but that is essentially what happens. And you get to the end and roll credits and whatnot. And I'm like, that was a great movie. And that Get Out was so freaking powerful, but also, God forbid, hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely laughed watching that too, especially the first time. And it's like you see that before he actually does have that heart-to-heart with his father, he comes in the room the first time and Cal is just like, I know I did a really, really bad thing. And it's like, you could tell that he wants to take that next step, but he doesn't know where to go with it. But the first step is admitting that he did, in fact, do something wrong, because he hasn't really done that before. Then he doesn't really get a response from Adam, so he's just like, it's hopeless. So he leaves, and that's when Abra does have that heart-to-heart with Adam's like, you want your son to have a future, to grow up to become a man, you have to get him to be able to let go of all this anger and hatred that he bears. Like, give him an opportunity to earn your love, because he's never had that a single day in his life.
Even if it's something small, just give him something.
Exactly. And then she does talk up Cal too, like, you gotta try. And he's like, I feel it's hopeless. And so when he does, like, when he goes in and he's just like, you know, his father's like, please do this for me, and he's willing to do that, you know, that is the step to adulthood, where you take on responsibility, and he's willing to do that for his father. And that goes to show, now it's like, now you're an adult, like, now you have responsibilities, you're willing to take them on, and you can let go of this hatred, this brooding anger that you held all your life, essentially. So it really is a good sentimental feeling. I think Steinbeck wrote this book in particular for his two sons, and Steinbeck, a lot of his books are for a sense of teaching, and teaching through story, through experience, and for younger people to learn from. And I think that I think it's an important thing to point out with this film that Steinbeck had issues with his father, serious issues. Elia Kazan had serious issues with his father. I believe Elia Kazan's father wanted him to go into some sort of business with him instead of going to college, and Elia Kazan's like, no, I want to go to college. I have other aspirations. So they had like serious issues, you know, daddy issues, I guess you could say. And also James Dean himself did have father issues and abandonment issues. It's kind of like after his mother died when he was a kid, his father pretty much dropped him on the doorstep of his aunt and uncle, and he didn't really have a bond at all with his father for the most part. I heard that close towards the end of James Dean's life, he kind of sort of made a little bit of a connection, but it was not, from what I know, didn't seem very solid, but it was like something that he was working towards. So like every important aspect of this film being made deals with with men that have had problems connecting with their fathers, and it does really show in this film. And
Yeah.
this film is based on like I think like the last third of the East of Eden novel, and Kazan picked that out himself. I guess in a way that's what resonated with him the most, and I'm glad that he thought to take just a portion of this. It's a large novel,
Mm-hmm.
and just condense it to that, because it feels like a whole film, no doubt, to me.
Oh yeah.
And it's easier to concentrate on just a portion of this novel as opposed to the whole thing. But I guess that's what resonated with Kazan the most, this issue, this Cain and Abel story, and trying to earn the affection and love of a father, something that he had to deal with himself.
I mean, if you think about it, this movie is an hour 57 minutes. It's almost 2 hours. If they had to use the whole damn novel, it would have probably taken like 6.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This movie was great, honestly. Objectively speaking, back in I'm going by, when I do objective standard, folks, I go back to when that movie was made, and I'm going by all the different objective standard back then. So objectively, when I say that this movie is around an 8 out of 10, a couple of things here and there could have been done a little bit differently. However, the writing, the acting, even the score, or a lot of it is very well done. 8 out of 10 is a very high score for me. I mean, especially in a 1955 film. Subjectively, this movie is definitely a 9 out of 10. I enjoyed the hell out of it. As a moviegoer, it's like, this movie is a slow burn, but it builds up, and I really do enjoy that. I didn't get bored watching this movie. I mean, I did have to pause it because daily stuff had to go, or was being done. We were getting dinner and stuff, getting that going too, but I didn't pause it because I was bored. I paused it out of necessity. So this movie, definitely moviegoer, goes for 10 out of 10. How would you rate East of Eden, Cass?
Personally, I don't rate anything, but I mean, to me, it's exceptional in every main movie making aspect. I think from the level of acting, and a lot of these actors at the time were taken from theater. Like James Dean hadn't done a serious film project. Joe Van Fleet, who plays his mother, did Broadway, and there's great talent there, and a lot of it is kind of fresh. And I think that's also a great thing that they were willing to do back then, get fresh talent and not go with the same olds.
Yeah.
And the acting is great. The directing is super interesting to me. The way the film is shot, super interesting. Kazan really has a great way of just getting to his actors to push them to really sell a scene and get that moment, and he's willing to try new things. And I do love the score. It's very, very 1950s. It stands out.
Oh yeah.
It will get your attention. It's very pretty.
Folks, when you watch movies from 50s and even early 60s, when it comes to scores and whatnot, you get a really good orchestral score.
Yep, it's true quality. And the writing, I mean, is great. I mean, you have what is objectively one of the greatest novels ever made. It's held in high regard on Steinbeck's list. And I'm glad that it does get a very good adaptation. And Steinbeck was happy with this adaptation. He and Kazan were very good friends, and he apparently, Steinbeck kind of just let Kazan do his thing. He didn't really. It's like, it's my book, yes, but it's Kazan's vision on how he brings it to the big screen, and that's definitely respectable. And clearly, he had a trust in Kazan since they were friends. And from what I know, he was very happy with this film. And I love it. I can watch this anytime. It is. I guess it's a slow burn by its, when you're looking back at 1950s, how film was made back then. But James Dean just had a great way of keeping you on your toes, and
Oh yeah,
it falls in line with his character. Like that's why Abra's kind of scared of him. She doesn't know what the hell he's going to do next, and the viewer doesn't know what the hell he's going to do next. And it's very rewatchable to get little subtleties in it, and it's just for me, it's so much fun. And so
he's a
many
1950s Deadpool. Let's just put it that the dude's so freaking random. Like,
is.
how did I get up here? Oh yeah, there's a, and I mean, it's like fucking, or I was just trying to help you. Poosh. It's like, oh my god, really?
Yeah, and that's how kind of just the type of person he was in real life, from what we know. I heard that he was a very moody person. Sometimes he'd be super quiet and sort of in a depressive state, and out of nowhere he just kind of has like explosive mood swings and shit. And I know from many accounts I heard he's the type of dude, he always has to be doing something, always, to the point where he's kind of fucking annoying. And I do know one little silly thing. I think with one of his first paychecks from Warner Brothers, he bought a fucking horse and kept it on Warner Brothers like stables that they had on set, and they would have a hard time finding him to go do scenes because his mind was just everywhere. And one of the people that kind of kept him grounded was Julie Harris, his love interest in this film. They kind of had like a good connection, and I think a lot of the scenes between them are really him at his best, in a way of him being grounded and giving a more adult performance between them. Yeah. Whereas like a lot of other scenes, he's more of like erratic and sort of just strange and just concentrating on little tiny things, very in his little method moments. Whereas his scenes with Julie, it's kind of like she kind of does all that, but keeps him kind of like feel like at a very normal actor's sort of way. So it's kind of interesting to, when you do rewatch that, to kind of get a sense of like how he differs with who he's with.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie, I really do. It had great moments in it. I mean, this is James Dean, rest in peace, man. But holy crap, you were definitely taken before your time. I feel that he may have been able to have a prosperous career.
One of his aspirations was to be a director, and a lot of things in both East of Eden and as well as Rebel Without a Cause, he gave a lot of thoughts to the directors and that they thought were great ideas. And I think the true shame is no doubt he's a great actor in my mind, but I would have loved to have seen James Dean actually be behind the camera and how he'd go about that and how he would essentially direct other actors. Like, could he do that? I don't know. It's one of those things where he was so erratic of a person. Could he really carry that out? But he's also genius in subtleties, in vision, that he does have the thought process, but can he fucking relax and command it, a making a film? We'll never know, sadly. So.
I mean, maybe in an alternate universe, James Dean is alive and well and was able to do all that. I would, because now that you say it, I would actually kind of like to see a movie that he would have directed and his directing style, because I'm pretty sure it'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
To be completely honest. I mean, this dude would he would take what you see in his movies and he would probably even kind of direct that kind of style behind the camera.
Yep.
Anywho, this movie, thank you so much for recommending this movie. It really,
I'm glad that I got to get someone else to watch it. It's like a cult of getting people to watch East of Eden. I'm down with that cult.
Well, she is cult classic Cage, folks.
Exactly. It's like for me, another cult following I've created is getting people to go to Chick-fil-A and buy mac and cheese instead of fries, because the mac and cheese is the greatest mac and cheese I've ever tried. So it's the cult of Chick-fil-A mac and cheese as well. I support that.
You should have mac and cheese bites. Have you ever had mac and cheese bites?
From Sheets?
Where it's mac and cheese that is just, or fried dough wrapped around mac and cheese. Oh,
Yeah, I've had them. I've had them at Sheets. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's really good. I'm a sucker for mac and cheese. So.
nice. She's the best cult leader.
Hey,
Hey, you're not wrong, man. That mac and cheese is the truth.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. People don't understand. They always go for the fries, but it's like, no, if you're gonna choose carbs, go with the mac and cheese. You will not regret it.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, we are going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much, Cassie, for coming in. Folks,
Really
definitely follow Cassie's channel. I miss Sheets. Okay. Her channel, her Twitter, and her Twitch channel are all in the description below of the stream. So definitely give her a follow on all three. Thank you so much, Iman. And I get both because I'm a fast. Hey, you said it, not me, man. And thank you, Alex versus Evil. So tune in, or tomorrow for me, folks, I am going to be on OG Star Wars' channel. She does Talking EU with with friends of her channel and whatnot, and I'm going to be on her channel around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So definitely tune into there. We're going to be talking about all my love for Star Wars, how I got into it and whatnot. And if you want to be on a guest choice review, hit me up on Twitter. You get to pick the movie, you get to pick the time, you get to pick the date. Well, or how I do it when it comes to guest choice review. It's for your convenience. And I absolutely enjoy having people on the channel, giving them a boost if they need it, helping them grow their channel. I believe you finally hit over 1,000.
Yeah, it did.
Nice.
Kinda
Congratulations.
shocking. I'm shocked, honestly. Still.
Hey, believe me, you're going to pass me in a few short weeks. I'm willing to bet.
We're going to help each other out, obviously.
Damn straight. We rise together. And definitely reach out and whatnot. I'm at Orange Hat or at Volan OHR because I can be benevolent or malevolent. So, yeah. But definitely I enjoy watching movies. I enjoy renting movies to watch to draw up some talking points. This movie is when it comes to older movies, this definitely takes a top position. I mean, my favorite movie of all time of classics is always going to be Arsenic and Old Lace because that movie is fucking hilarious. And I'm so glad that my aunt actually got me to sit down and watch it. She's like, just get your ass out here and watch this movie. I'm like, fine. It's like fine. And I just absolutely loved it. Boris Karloff was so freaking great. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter. Follow Cassie. Chances are I'm going to be back for Society Reviews channel on Tuesday or next Tuesday because you can also find me there. Tuesday morning, I have my mystery reviews every week, including next week. It's not a holiday yet. It's only Tuesday. So, yeah. Definitely look out for that. The hints are Red Sea Trading Company and 90s. Do not give it away. If you know it in the chat, please do not. I'll strike your damn comment from the record. So, yes, tune in if you want to discuss one of those great-ass movies from the 90s. It is that good. Anyway, folks, thank you so much. Cassie, thank you so much for coming in, talking East of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. We'll have to definitely do it again sometime. Anyway, folks, thank you so much to Alex versus Evil, Iman, Rich, the Swag Lord. Cassie is in the chat as well. Rob Motto Movies, Nerd with a Cigar, those cheesy ass destructive sex bots. You do not get thanks. You are assholes. Vanja, thank you so much. Janet from Another Planet, Eagle Rider, Society Reviews, and I believe that is all. Alex versus Evil again. Yes, thank you all so much for joining in. If you like this stream, sorry, had a brain fart. If you like the stream, if you want to catch it on the replay, let me know in the comment section below. What did you like about East of Eden? Did you like it? Did you not? What was your favorite parts? Mine's going to be get out. I mean, it really is just that freaking funny. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below, folks. This has been Orange Hat Reviews and Guest. Have a wonderful night. And always remember, stay humble.